Welcome. This is the introduction for bioethics. My name is Colby. I prefer it if you would call me Colby, but you can also call me Dr. Clark. I'm a visiting assistant professor here at Wichita State University. A little bit about myself. I received my PhD from the University of Kentucky in 2023, and I've spent the last couple years at the University of Utah as a postdoc in their philosophy department. I'm originally from Ohio, so I'm a Bengals fan. So hopefully this will be our season. I also specialize in environmental philosophy and environmental ethics, but I'm also really interested in a number of different threads within bioethics as well. So I'm very excited for this semester. I'm assuming that most of you are coming into this class as a major in some other field other than philosophy. If you are a philosophy major and you're taking this course, you will also get familiarized with a number of different arguments and ideas. But the way in which I've designed this course is to help prepare future healthcare providers and professionals to help them navigate the more stressful environment that you will probably find yourself in on a day to day basis. Bioethics, as you'll see in the first reading, is an area of applied ethics where we're going to take different principles, theories, and ideas and apply them to different cases and try to develop a sort of a standard or norms or understanding of why we think certain actions are right or certain actions are wrong. Um, this course is intended to develop the soft skills that complement the more technical training that you receive from your STEM field classes. So I'm going to be asking you to sort of develop those critical thinking skills um, beyond just a mere multiple choice. Uh, learn the concepts and get tested over the concepts. With that being said, this course is sort of a tale of two different courses. The first half is more traditional in that sense, where we'll do mainly reading quizzes into an exam over the more theoretical basis for bioethics, and this is going to probably look a little bit more like your standard STEM classes. But the second half is going to be more about developing your writing skills, developing your critical thinking skills to apply the different ideas, concepts, theories in the first half of the semester to practical issues that you might be confronted with in the real world. Before we get into the course breakdown, I just really want to stress that I see my role here as an instructor as helping to develop the skills that we were just talking about. I'm not here to cause you anxiety. I know that being, especially in an online class where you feel a little bit more isolated, that you could feel more anxiety about these assignments because you're not exactly sure what I'm looking for. Um, all I can say is please, 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 if you ever feel anxiety about this class, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. I'm less interested in getting a good grade distribution for the class. I'm more interested in helping you develop the different types of skills to really um, navigate the challenges that you might face if you become part of the healthcare field, or if you're a philosopher or humanities student who is just wanting to sharpen your critical thinking or your communication writing skills. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to cause you any unnecessary anxiety about the course. Um, so yes, please reach out if you have any problems or concerns. With that being said, as I mentioned previously, that this is a tale of two different courses. So in the first half, it's more of a technical course where you'll do 6 multiple choice reading quizzes um, and an exam. So for this first half, the first two readings, there will be PDFs online. They're just over like what is bioethics and then also what some moral theories are. And then we'll go into the 4 core chapters of Beecham and Childress's book. That's the one required text that you have for this class. The bookstore, I believe, ordered the 8th edition. Um, I think I have the 7th edition. I've been told by many reputable bioethicists that nothing really changes too drastically from one edition to the next. So if you're trying to save some money and you want to buy an earlier edition than the 8th edition, that's totally fine by me. If you run into any problems with the reading quizzes or anything like that, just let me know. We'll work it out. So that's the one text that you will need to purchase for this class, or at least have access to. So there are the six reading the six reading quizzes, excuse me, and it counts for 20% of your total grade, so 4% for each quiz because you ultimately drop one of them. Only 5 of them get recorded. That's just to reemphasize that I'm not really trying to cause you any anxiety. If you do the first 5 and you get perfect scores and you want to just not do the 6th, that's totally fine. If you want to take one of the weeks off, totally fine. But it's built in there, so if you don't do well on one of the quizzes, there's no reason to really get upset or worried because it'll probably be the one that you drop anyway. Additionally, I provide the quiz questions ahead of time. They're on our web page. So if you go into our Blackboard page, you'll see there will be a PDF there of the reading quiz questions. The idea is that you can have them open as you're going through the reading because they're in order. There are no gotcha questions, no trick questions. You'll pretty much find them exactly as they appear in the text. I was never much of a fan of reading quizzes, but especially with an online course, there's really no other option. So that's why we're doing them, and they're just to force you to get into the reading, and so you have access to all the questions. So just spend your time, make sure you don't do it last minute, and you'll be perfectly fine with those. And then the reading quiz questions culminate into the only exam that we'll have for this class. The exam, again, is nothing that's too comprehensive or I guess overwhelming is probably the appropriate word here. There will be 30 multiple choice and matching, and those will just be over the core concepts like utilitarianism, egalitarianism, paternalism. What are those? There aren't any questions that are like, what did Beecham and Childress specifically say about X? It's just more about making sure that you have a mastery of the fundamentals, so then you're more prepared to write about them in the second half. And for the exam, there's a study guide also on the Blackboard page that will have all the different concepts that I'm going to have on the exam. So as long as you can define those concepts, then you'll be in great shape for that. The exam also has 2 essay questions. Each of them will be 3 paragraphs long, and I'll tell you specifically what I'm looking for in each of those paragraphs, so you'll have no guessing when it comes time. And I can tell you right now that one of the essay questions will be over Beecham and Childress's principle for respect for autonomy, and the other one will be over the 2 principles, beneficence and non-maleficence. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get going. The exam is worth 20% of your overall grade. So between the reading quizzes and the exam, that's 40%. Once we get into the second half, this is when we get into the more elaborate, maybe elaborate's not the right choice of terms either, but where you'll have to do more communication about what ideas are going on in the text and how you're engaging with them. So there will be 3 question crafting assignments. These are pretty short. They're about 200 to 250 words. They're 2 different paragraphs, and I try to tell you exactly what I'm looking for in those paragraphs. There will be another video on what I'm looking for in the question crafting assignments. There's also the rubric and a handout for you. So make sure you use those resources. Ultimately, what I'm grading on is I'm looking for a specific thought process, a certain type of procedure that we are accustomed to in philosophy, where we're trying to look for different signposting and defining different terms and then expressing a critical thought about that based on our definitions and things like that. So that's what the question crafting assignment is meant to get at, is to help you practice developing a very coherent thought and then a critical response to that thought. After the question crafting assignments, so those are 20% total, so 10% for each submission that gets recorded. There will also be 2 case studies. So these are a little bit more expansive. These are the sort of longer writing assignments for the semester. Um, the first case study, there will be a single one in which everybody will have to write on. They're a little bit more open-ended, but I'll talk a little bit more about what you'll be expected to have in these case studies on the separate video. So make sure you check that out. There will also be a rubric on there. But the second case study, you'll have a choice between two of them. Whichever one you think would be the better one to attack, that's totally fine. The case studies are worth 40% of the grade, so 20% per submission. And before moving on, I just want to say with these writing assignments, if you get them done early, I'm totally happy to look over them and give you some feedback on them. Again, this is not a course in which I'm expecting you to already have the skills that I'm going to be evaluating. My job as an instructor is to help you grow as a student. So if you have any problems or you know are worried about the assignment, just make sure you get some ideas on the paper, send them my way. I'm happy to talk about it. You can drop by on my office hours too. That's totally fine. Now that we've talked about the course breakdown, I think the one policy that's most important for this course is the late policy. As you'll see on the screen here, and in the syllabus, there are different percentages marked off for if an assignment is late or if it's unexcused or if it's excused. As far as what counts as excused and what counts as unexcused, uh, the one thing that I just ask is that you let me know ahead of time if you think that you're not going to be able to submit an assignment on time. Um, if you let me know a day or so ahead that like something has popped up, I totally understand that you have a life outside of school, and I don't want you to feel like you're pressured into turning in something that you don't feel confident about. Um, at the same time, I really appreciate it if you don't send me an email when it's 10 minutes until the deadline saying, hey, yeah, I'm not going to be able to turn it in. Can I get an extension? Um, just try to be respectful uh, of the course and what I'm asking of you. And more times than not, it'll be totally fine. If you need an extension, just let me know. As far as the grading scale goes, down at the bottom, it's pretty much like every other class that you've ever been in with the distributions and the percentages as you see down there. Now I just want to give you some tips for success for this course. And it all just comes down to communication. Just make sure that if you're going to run into any problems, just let me know. I appreciate it if you send me emails to my WSU email instead of through the Blackboard app. It's easier to check emails that way. So my email is colby.clark@wichita.edu. So why do I say communication, communication, communication? So I will enforce the late penalties as I was just mentioning on the previous slide. Um, but as long as you contact me before the deadline, if something comes up, just let me know. It's all about. Uh, uh, I'm more interested in making sure that you produce quality work that you feel confident in, and not feeling too much stress. But at the same time, I have to hold you responsible and accountable for the work. So as long as we have an understanding with that, be totally fine. Um, if you're struggling for any reason, uh, please feel free to stop by my office at some point. My office's information is on the syllabus, um, and I'll be in there from 12:30 to 2 on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll be in there 11 to 12:30. We can also meet via Zoom or Teams, whatever setup is easiest. And if those times don't work for you, just send me an email and we can find a time that works. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. And so just make sure that if anything pops up or if you have any concerns, reach out to me. Um, Additionally, use the study guides, handouts, rubrics, the videos, everything on the course page. I'm pretty diligent and uh, very detail oriented. So everything that I'm going to grade on, I try to provide you with something that gives you the specifics of what I'm looking for you to do. So if you're ever like, I don't feel confident that I know what I'm doing, make sure you check those out. And if you check those out and you still don't feel confident that you know what I'm expecting, again, just reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. Um, Another tip, which is do not rely on the AI software to compose the writing assignments. I don't mind if you use AI for uh, uh, coming up with ideas and things like that, but the reason why this is a tip of not using it is that students always use it for the first assignment and they don't get very good uh, scores on it. And it's because I'm looking for something specific in the rubrics. So you can't just simply say, ChatGPT, write this assignment for me, because it will almost always leave out a lot of the details I'm looking for that I'm grading on based on the rubric. It's important to understand that these writing assignments are more about helping you develop a certain type of critical thinking procedure and having a type of conversation or being able to communicate ideas in a way that philosophers typically do it. So that's the technical training that I'm providing to you. Um, and that's why the rubrics are very detailed. And so my suggestion is don't rely on the AI software to write the first um, writing assignments, especially not the case study since you don't get to drop one. But if you want to use it to bounce some ideas off of, like, I'm totally for that. That's totally fine. Just know that I grade based on the rubric, and the AI software rarely can take that into account. So beware. That's all I'm saying. And then finally, as I mentioned before, if you want any feedback on assignments, that's what I'm here for. Feel free to send me a draft. Um, just I ask that it's about 4 days before the deadline. That just gives me enough time. Since I'm teaching 3 classes, I'll have a number of different students. So if you get it to me 4 days before, I can give you copious amounts of feedback that will help you steer your assignment or your draft into a good workable shape. Um, and I will just say this: that every student who's ever uh, taken me up on the offer has almost always gotten an A on the assignment, um, and also, I've gotten an A in the class if they do it for each of the assignments, because that just lets me also help you understand exactly what I'm trying to um, instill through this class, and get you to sort of see the different types of strategies and writing components that we're trying to develop here. Before finishing this video, I just want to reiterate one more time that uh, I am here as an instructor for you. I am wanting to help you develop your critical thinking, your writing skills, and familiarize you with a number of different concepts, ideas, things like that. I will say throughout this course that I'm not giving you the facts about bioethics. I'm trying to present a number of different conversations and help you sort of navigate the different types of arguments and things like that. I can't tell you what the correct argument is for or for specific um, things that will pop up, um, but we're working through all of this together to sort of become better philosophers, better thinkers, because ultimately decisions and the way in which you defend your actions is entirely up to you. So this course is about equipping you with a number of different ideas to be prepared to talk about these very uh, consequential situations and topics that you will encounter on a day-to-day basis if you're going into um, the healthcare field. If you're more of a philosopher or humanities person, it's still important to understand how these arguments work, and you will be able to get just as much out of this course. My purpose here is not to cause you anxiety. Uh, I think bioethics is one of the most enjoyable philosophy courses that you can take because it's an applied course. We'll talk about different um, uh, cases. We'll talk about different thought experiments. So it's really just going to challenge you to think about these things and to decide for yourself using more sophisticated argumentation about why you think one decision is better than another, and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to this semester. I hope that you are too. Um, if you need anything, please reach out.